What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday, and welcome to a new and fresh episode of Open Letters to a Survivor. I am your moderator, James, and I got the queens here. We got Lady Poets, we got K Love, and Kisanda Williams. These ladies have an amazing show in store for you tonight. A special guest who all of you will be familiar with, but I will leave that to the ladies to dispel that information. Nothing else from me. I'm just going to pass the torch to Lady Poet, and here we go.
Thank you, James, as always. Thank you. We do want to welcome you to another episode of Open Letters to a Survivor. This week, we are finishing up our grief series. So today is all about grief recovery. And before we go to Cassandra's letter, I just want to bring our guest in just so she could hear our letter because her letters are always so impactful. I like for our guests to hear them as well and be with us when we do them. So, um, this person actually opened up our grief month. So what better way to have someone to open it to close it at the same time, talking about grief recovery. So, I'll say it like they do in church. I present to some and introduce to others. China, she was on before, and she actually gave a really good message and a really good word for you guys. So we're going to finish off our grief month with talking about grief recovery. We're going to bring her in. We're going to go to Cassandra's letters and then we'll go into the questions. Thank you so much for coming back on today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Cassandra, you could go with the letter.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Um, I just wanted to say this very quickly, and she didn't know I was going to say this, and I wasn't sure that I would until about a second ago. Sometimes, guys, we have our leaders who support the work that we do in various aspects of our lives. And they show up, they show out, they are a force to be reckoned with. And that is our Lady Poet Speaks. But at the same time, we have to be mindful that as they present themselves as those superhumans, they are human. And so, to Lady Poet Speaks, I just wanted to let you know, or remind you rather, that we love you, we care about you, we are here for you, and we are here to support you in as much as you took calling to create this platform. And we so thank you for it. Our Facebook community, our viewers, our team. We are always here to uphold, uplift, and love on you. So I just wanted to say before I get into this letter, which was written a lot with you in mind, thank you. And we love you.
So you're not supposed to make me cry today, but thank you.
You're not going to cry. All right. So
Ain't
without
nothing
any
wrong with a little tear.
thank you, K Love. Thank you. But you know what? Sometimes we need to hear those words, right? You know it, you may feel it, you may sense it, but it never hurts to hear it. And we sincerely mean that. So here we go. Dear survivor, learning to live with the experience of having lost someone or something that was once very near and dear to you is hard, painful, hurtful at times, and can seem like an outright impossible thing to do. Recovering from loss is all of these things and more. You may feel heartbroken, downtrodden, empty, broken, or just plain tired. And guess what? However you feel is perfectly okay. It's all right. Why? Because it's how you feel. And for whatever reasons, you have to allow yourself to feel all the feels. But we don't stay here forever. We can't allow ourselves to stop here. Why? Because no matter what or who we've lost, we still owe it to ourselves to live life and live it to its fullest. Live it as abundantly as possible for ourselves, for you, not for the loved ones you've lost, not for the sake of a friendship or romantic relationship or even a job or business you once desired to have that you feel or that you really did lose. Life is worth the living, and you owe yourself the opportunity to live your best life on your terms. Leave behind all the traumas, triggers, uncherished memories, and any and all things that no longer serve you. Bring along any cherished memories. Bring along the hard lessons learned. Bring along the values, new or old. Bring the boundaries, the self care routines, and the genuine self love you have, all of which are necessary as you elevate along your wellness and healing journey. We here at Open Letters to a Survivor, we're here for you as a safe space, an outlet, and a resource. You're not in this life alone. You never will be, and you never have been. You are wonderfully and perfectly made, and therefore you can use this family and our resources to help you recover and journey forward in a healthy way. Take care and be well as you elevate along your journey. Sincerely, Lady Poet Speaks, K Love, the entire team of Open Letters to a Survivor, tonight's guest, China Black, and me, Cassandra Williams.
He got me in a chokehold. I'm sorry. She got me in a chokehold. She got me in a chokehold. That was so necessarily and profoundly needed. Jesus, she got us in a chokehold. I told I told Lady Poet earlier this week that I appreciate being able to come back for grief recovery because it's so needed. And even just myself, we've had an extensive loss of life this week. So this is profoundly important. But that letter to a survivor that you just read, that was the show. That was the
Thank
show.
you.
So, yeah, every week. And I thank you for coming despite the loss that you actually had this week. So I do appreciate you even in that coming. But Cassandra, I tell her every week her letter's gonna take us out one day. It's gonna take us out one by one. So I tell her that every week. So but we are actually going to go ahead and we got actually those letters. We have a surprise that'll be coming at the beginning of next year. I'll tell you about it when we get off of here today, China. So I'll tell you about that.
Okay.
But we're going to go ahead and start with the questions. So Caleb, I know you have you could start off with the questions for today.
Well, before we go into the questions, just let me say, my sister Cassandra, youthebomb.com. You bring it every week, and that's why we gave it to you because you are anointed to do that. And we appreciate you for that. And yeah, I'm gonna try not to cry too.
Yeah, I'm in a chokehold. I'm trying to pull it together before the questions come. That was
Man.
woo.
Because I too lost a relative this week. It was unexpected. And we all know that death is a part of life, but some days you just ain't feeling the death angel. You'd be like, man, go on somewhere with that. And then we have to, still live on because we're still among the living. So I appreciate that open letter today, so I'm gonna hold it together so that we can keep on moving.
We got this. We got this.
Yes, we got it. All right, my sister. So our first question is, how on earth do you heal from grief?
Make the decision.
Mm.
You have to make the decision. You have to make the decision to begin the process, to take the time to sit with yourself, to first accept the loss. We touched on the different stages of grief, which some people may not know. And it's 5 stages. It's denial, it's anger, it's the bargaining, depression, And then there's acceptance. Choosing to go through the process of grief, even when you don't know what that looks like. It may be terrifying. It may be something you don't understand. You just got to go through it. As I touched on before, that grief is just not the death of a loved one. It's the loss of something close to you, something that has an impact on your life. I thought about this all week, when Lady Poet reached out to me and say, hey, would you come back? And I said, like, making the decision to feel all the feels, getting phone calls unexpectedly. And like these are earth shattering, gut wrenching, breathtaking, life altering moments. As we talked about, when the phone calls stop, when the visits stop, when it's quiet and you got to sit by yourself and you notice that one thing that was once present is no more. It's like, how do I go on from here? It starts with accepting that thing you lost is no longer here, and that you have to make a decision to go on. How do I pick up the pieces? How do I move forward? And not bargaining, don't, if they would have stayed, I would have did this, or, going through the depression stage. Some people can go so far and deep in depression, that thing die with them, or that thing will cause ultimately their death because they don't know how to get out. So I would say you heal from grief by just go through the motions, accept, like, this is something I have to go through. I have to get through this to get to the other side. It may not feel like it. It may not look like it. You may not even want to, but I promise it is a breath of fresh air when you get through it. When you can look at somebody and say, I sat in that seat. Lord, I remember what them dark days felt like, but today, God, look where I am. I can be the voice of reason for somebody else. I can, not tell somebody to go through it, but just coach them along the way. Because like I said, grief is hard. I posted that this week. Grief is hard. It's hard. But just making that choice.
That's good. That's good. I often tell one of my friends, just like you said, you can't tell someone how long to grieve, but you can make suggestions in how you get through the grief.
Absolutely.
And I'm always making suggestions. Come on, let's go to therapy. Let's go. Let's go talk about it with someone who can help us navigate through this. Because grief is a big old ship, and it's got a lot of compartments,
Baby.
a lot of rooms.
And the grief is the grief, if it's left just simmering, you basking in it and sitting in it. Like, I talked to somebody Friday, and they were going to lay a loved one to rest on yesterday. And she was someone that I had grew up with, and she's like, I'm just, China, I'm just sitting in it. I said, I know it don't look good right now. It don't even feel good right now. You've had loss after loss after loss, and it's all been in a year. And I said, well, what I can offer you when the dust settles, when it's quiet, sit in it. You're going to have to, because like right now, I told her, I was like, ultimately, you not going through it will affect your mental health, and then it'll start affecting your physical health. And it's just say, I have to get an outlet. I have to be able to let this go, because the weight is so heavy. You feel like you drowning. You feel like some people feel like I just can't catch a break. It's like grief after grief after grief. And like we talked like last week about the prolonged grief. Don't wait too long. Don't just sit in that, and we gonna wait. Oh, I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna just keep pushing through, because you thinking that if you stay busy, that those feelings that you're suppressing will go away. No, because when they do surface, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks, and it's going to be something you just can't come back from. So I would suggest not to prolong it. Feel it.
Mhm.
Feel it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And with that being said, how does self-care relate to grief?
Ooh. So, once again, accept your feelings. Allow yourself to feel sad, the experience, the pain of the loss. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. The grace you would give somebody else, we also must give ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put expectations on people. Oh, I expect them to heal. I expect them to recover from that. But what about you? We are so busy fueling other people, being there for other people, rallying for other people, but we forget to take care of ourselves. If we empty, we depleted, and we don't got nothing, what we pouring into somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, what we're pouring out into someone else, we should be pouring into ourselves, so that you give people the overflow. You can't just keep on empty cup, because when you depleted and you have nothing and you got those dark days, who checking on you?
Mhm.
Who calling to make sure you okay? Who saying, hey, I ain't heard from you in a while. When they say your silent friends check on your people, it's just that, and not getting too much into it. I said we experienced death. My daughter found out a friend of hers passed away, and it was by suicide. And my daughter was angry. She was angry at her friend. And I couldn't do nothing in that moment but hold her and cry. Because I said to her, I said, it's okay to be angry with your friend. It's okay that you have these feelings you don't understand. And she said, my friend was hurting. And I said to her, it's unfortunate that nobody could get a hold of your friend like I was able to get a hold of you. And it's just like sitting in that, that person, her friend was very respectful, very well mannered. You would have never, from the look of the person, knew they was going through anything. But when my baby said, I knew he was hurting. We talked a lot. But she said sometimes people just can't get out of their own mind. They can't get out of their own way. They don't have those solid support systems we talked about, the ones that want to offer your opinion and tell you what they think you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. When people don't realize, like, they see the, the distance. They see that you are not talking as much. They see, I just want to be by myself. Them the ones you got to check on more. You know what I'm saying? Them the ones like, hey, you say you cool, but no, let me pull up on you. I need to look and see for myself. If you saying what you saying is really, and those be the moments that you will save somebody's life.
Yeah.
Not passing judgment. Sometimes people just need to vent, to let it out. You may not understand what they're going through, but just being there, like we said, sometimes you don't even know what somebody said, but just knowing, like in that moment when I was at the bottom of the barrel, I had nowhere to go, nobody to turn to. I'm questioning myself. I'm questioning God. I'm questioning my family. I'm questioning my support system. When you got that one person, or you got that village we talk about, that support system that say, hey, how can we help you get through? What is it that you need? Or what is it that you think you may need? How can we point you in the right direction? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we so quick to give people what they think they need or what they want. Sometimes people just need a resource, need guidance, redirection. But like I said, this grief has been a lot. Like, this is a whole different type of grief. This is like extended grief. I have to watch my daughter grieve her friend, and somebody that she was close to, someone she knew was struggling, but she couldn't reach. And it's like, in that moment, you don't want to feel like you are betraying your friend, your loved one. But if you feeling like something, this is beyond me, then you have to reach out a little further, because maybe that extended reach will save the next person.
That's good. Yeah. So thank you for that. And is grief recovery a lifelong process, and why?
Absolutely. I believe it's a lifelong process, because just like a slow cooker, it takes time. If you put it in a microwave, it rushes the process. You don't get it don't get the full understanding all the way through. Like, you know how you put things in a crock pot, a slow cooker, it's levels. It's evened out. A microwave is quick and fast. And as we know, quick and fast stuff don't last always. You'll find yourself back where you started. So to have the continuous and steady, healing, feeling, therapy, conversations, prayer, it's a lifelong process. And it's just all about what you do with it once you come out of it. Once you can understand the reason for your grief, you understand what your grief is. You'll be able to understand the end result of the healing. Because like we say, it don't look, it's not the same for everybody.
Right.
It don't, what one person at the beginning of the week, what their grief looks like, devastation. This young man too, devastation. Whereas you may have somebody getting ready to say goodbye to a family member in hospice. You anticipating that. You just holding your breath, waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. So China, with all of that, right? As you may be grieving, like you said, you're feeling all the feels, whatever that is for you, as you're going through this healing journey. How is it that what is it that we do to get to that point of recovery?
Getting to the point of recovery. One, I'll say, use your resources. Use your village, your church family, your friends, your family, therapy if you need it, journaling if you need it. Don't hold on to them. Don't hold on to the loss. Don't hold on to the pain. Because it's like you holding your breath. When you hold your breath, you lose oxygen. You hold your breath long enough with no oxygen, you die. Live through it. You say to yourself, how can I help somebody coming out of this? How could, even like with, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, people going into recovery, you stand to gain a better you. Physically, mentally, emotionally, especially strengthening your mental health. Grief takes a toll on your mental health. Yes. Especially if you don't have no understanding. If you don't have no understanding of the whole mental health subject, if you don't understand that, on top of grief,
right,
then you got depression, you got anger. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for disaster. Some people choose to sit in grief, pain, dysfunction, because they feel like that's the only thing they know how to do. But when you get tired of feeling that way, when the old people say you get tired of being sick and tired, when you get tired of feeling in the dark, feeling in the dumps, you have to make a decision. Whatever that look like, whatever those steps look like, get some help.
Right.
Recover from that. Not saying that it's gonna be how it was.
Right.
It may be different, but you'll have a story to tell.
Mm-hmm. What they say, no testimony without the test first,
I
right?
promise you. And I just said to my son and my niece, I don't talk about nothing that I ain't experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. That's be false advertisement. I can't tell you about what I ain't experienced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've experienced a lot of loss in my life, and it's not just loved ones. It's been a job.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my French. Shit. Sometimes it has been my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm being 100% honest. When I'm sitting here like, Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna figure it out, because so much is going on. You have to be like, what am I gonna do? Like, I have to make the decision to figure this thing out. I can't just continue to sit in the loss, the pain. I can't continue to see the dark, because like they say, joy come in the morning.
Mhm.
If you sit in the dark, you will never see the light.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was good. So, and I'm actually speaking on that before we end the show about joy coming in the morning. But and how does recovery vary from person to person? You actually touched on that a few minutes ago, but just recovery may look different for different people, as you said. So, how does that vary from person to person, and what can we do to aid in a person's recovery?
Well, grief recovery, everybody should get an understanding of what it is first. You know what I'm saying? You can't help a person if you don't know what it is yourself. Like we talked about, people saying the clicheest things because that's what society wants you to say. But sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes it's the unsaid things that speak the loudest. You know what I'm saying? And the grief from person to person, it just touches back on the loss. You know, it's like, if you've never experienced that type of loss, I would suggest you aid in it because you don't understand it.
Wow.
Being able to assist them with someone who may have who have been in that type of grief and situation could be better. You know, like we talked about, and I said this week, a good friend of ours passed away, and I said, Lord help me. I said they were twins. And I said, there wasn't one without another, without the other. You know, where you saw one, you saw the other. And where you saw the other, you saw one. I said, I've never lost a sibling. Lord, I couldn't even imagine the pain that he's going through, let alone it's your twin. I can assist in the grief from a distance. You know, I right now it's fresh, it's early. I'd rather have a conversation when it's quiet, when the visits stop, the calls stop. I'd rather have a conversation where I'm able to assist in the understanding part, assist in the part where you don't know which way to turn. The part, and I said to, I said to him, I said, when things do settle down, I'll meet with you at a later date, because right now it's not for show. How I support you and your family, it doesn't need to be for shits and giggles. It's not for an audience. It's not for everybody. It's for them.
Right.
So I would offer, be that kind of person. If you're gonna do it, be genuine about it. Don't do it for notoriety, recognition, because it's not genuine. And that's a bad thing. A person show up because they feel like everybody else doing it. No, it means so much more. Like we said, when everything settles, like Lady Poet said, when you can just reach out and say, I know today not a good day for you. I know maybe anniversary is coming up, birthday is coming up. Is it anything I can do to support you? Or just making a genuine gesture. I know things may be hard. You may be off work. I'll just send you and your family dinner. So I think the aiding and supporting comes from the different grief and like I said, the grief situations.
Absolutely. And China, I'm going to ask, excuse me, our final question this evening. And that is, and you touched on this a little bit. Do you have any additional strategies or resources to share with us and our viewers who may be going through or going into, I'll say, the recovery process?
Journaling, having a safe space. I will say resources for recovery, not just journaling, having a support system is very important. Having a support system is very important. Prayer is also good. To whatever higher power you serve. Therapy, like we talked about, some people had that stigma, I don't want to talk to nobody. Therapy isn't good. Therapy is just a conversation. A conversation with someone you don't know that can be unbiased, that can help you understand the process, what your journey may look like moving forward, and how you can stay in a healthy mental mind space. I also say exercise, find an outlet. We talked about, a lot of people discover passions from pain. Once you find out what the purpose is through your pain, people birth out clothing lines, become authors, become musicians, become teachers, become pastors. It's just all about what is the purpose for your pain. Because sometimes we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. I think, like I said, the extension of loss that I've had, I start conversations for people that's hard to even talk. Sometimes people don't know what to say. I've been told, you just got that personality. Sometimes just having a conversation will get people open up talking. And next thing you know, they walk away from a conversation like, I didn't know I needed that. I can breathe. Sitting down with somebody that don't pass judgment. And that's a big thing. People who offer their opinion when it's unwanted, unsolicited, you just want somebody to get it off your chest. You walking around and it's you walking around holding on to stuff, you holding your breath. You just want to talk to somebody who ain't got nothing to say. You don't want to hear back down the line, well, you should have. No, that's not what I entrusted you with the conversation for.
Right.
I just needed to get it out. I needed to get that off my chest. I needed to lessen the load, free up the weight some. And a lot of people that go through grief and situations, they don't reach out because they feel they'll be judged. They don't reach out because they don't feel people understand. It's just taking the time to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. How would I want somebody to handle me in this situation? How would I want somebody to carry me in this situation? If people put themselves in the shoes of others, like switch places for a minute, be like, God, I don't know how she carrying that. She make that look good. Like my aunt told me this morning, I love your strength. You know what I told her? I make it look good. That don't mean it's easy. That don't mean it's easy.
Right.
This is an ongoing process. When I sat here not too long ago and I listened to that part of the podcast that we did at the beginning of the month, when I said, right your wrongs, ask for forgiveness, when I had to sit in that space with my mother and I knew she was dying, I had to First, that's big for anybody to tell their mama, I was wrong, you was right, I'm sorry, please forgive me. That's for any adult.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy, let alone when you know, like when you know that the person that has given you life, you got to fix that. You got to fix that, because I'm at peace because I did those things.
Yes.
But I had to get to a point. I had to sit my ego aside. I had to sit that I know everything. Because here's the thing, I don't. I tell my kids, this parenting thing, baby, that's a grief in itself. There's no manual. I don't get it right all the time. I don't say the right things all the time. I don't do the right things all the time. But I ask that you with you, that I'm giving you the proper guidance, the proper direction. It's up to you what you do with it. But that was what my mother tried to do for me. But in the end, I had to say, Ma, I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. I forgave her for things. Guess what? Because she's a parent. I'm a parent too. She wasn't getting it right. Damn it, I ain't getting it right. But I didn't understand that. Now I do. Making a change, stepping up and saying, you know what? Today gonna be the day I'm gonna have to sit in this. Today is the day I can't keep on beating myself up. Today is the day I gotta take responsibility for my healing. Like they say, grief is love with nowhere to go. And for you to grieve something or someone, you had to once love them. And when you love the person or the thing, it's all about choices and decisions, making it right, even when it don't feel good, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's not what's said, it's what's unsaid. Like I said, that speaks the loudest. Miscommunication, non-communication, and lack of communication is the demise of all things. Where you could just sit down and have a conversation about what you feel. People would be amazed at a lot of homegoings, funerals, and burial sites. You ain't got nobody screaming and hollering, because guess what? They got regrets. They didn't get to fix it. They didn't get to humble themselves and say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Or I forgive you. Sometimes we waiting on a apology or asking for forgiveness that we know we ain't gonna get. We sit here dying, mad at that person, and they don't know, they none the wiser. They don't know. All because you ain't saying nothing. So now that's extra added grief on the grief that you already had.
Right.
Like I told kids, accepted and corrected. That goes for me as well. Like I say, I ain't always right. I don't always say the right thing. I don't always do the right thing. But what I do, yeah, I'm gonna have to own some stuff. You gotta own it. Take accountability. Sometimes you got to put yourself in a hot seat and say, you know what? I was dead ass wrong. I was wrong. When somebody have that conversation with you and you see that situation from a different perspective or a different set of eyes, you will be like, oh my God, like I did not know. Just how I said when I read my mother's journal entries, I'm thinking I'm being this perfect daughter. I'm doing all these things. Baby, my mama told me to shreds in them journals. And that's at age of 40, when you ain't supposed to be reading nobody's personal thoughts. That's what made me get a grip on myself and get my life together. Like you doing too much. Your mother didn't have these expectations for you. You got some stuff you need to fix. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. And when I got called out on my BS by somebody that's really near and dear to me, I had to make phone calls. I had to make phone calls. I had to sit down and have conversations and say, you know what? I was wrong. I want to apologize for not loving you or being a friend that you thought I should be, or I could have been, or not being there for you in the way you needed me to be. I had to own that, and it don't feel good. It do not feel good. When you hold yourself to the fire, it's a different thing when people hold you to the fire. But when you hold yourself to the fire, you'll do some life-altering changes. Because then you will see what you look like to other people.
Right.
So when I said about the grief, different areas of grief, losing yourself, grieving who you once was, but growing into who you shall be and become. Yes. Baby, that's a whole different type of healing. That's a peace that surpasses all understanding. You can't put a dollar sign on it, and it ain't no monetary value of increase.
Yep. Well, now, if that's not a motivational minute, I don't know what it is.
I'm trying to you. I'm like,
I always sign my books like Marvel the Strength, because I look every time I see the words Marvel the Strength, it reminds me of my mother. You know what I'm saying? And her name was Marvel. And as I spoke before, she was more than a moment. She was an experience, and for me to go through all that I have, to be able to speak to anybody publicly, to own my shit, it probably in front of the world, whoever gonna see this, that's strength all in itself. Hold myself to a different standard.
Yeah.
Being accountable for how I treat people, for the things I've done to people, for even myself.
Yeah.
You grieve. We talked about, you grieve who you once was, who you now may become.
Right.
That's a process. And that's a lifelong process, because we grow. As long as the older you get every day, you getting older. We learn something new every day. And if you're not learning, that means you staying in the same place. You're not growing.
That's a word right there. That's a nugget. We're going to keep that for the nugget for tonight. So, thank you so much for that actually inspiring conversation. And it actually, I think, spoke volumes to all of us, because we're all in the different phases of healing from different types of grief. And that's actually part of the motivational minute for tonight. And so sometimes to just hear somebody speak from where you're coming from, or what you've been dealing with, or what you've gone through, it's amazing. So thank you. And despite what you're going through, for you to be here tonight, we're glad that you actually did come in tonight. So I am grateful for that. And for Kim, if you want to stick around, I'm sorry, for K Love, if you want to stick around, you can, because I'm going to end with our motivational minute for tonight for everyone. But if you, K Love, could go with our spotlight if you're ready. If not, then that's fine. We'll do it in our Let's Go to Therapy. And Cassandra, if you want to go through our sponsorship, and then I'll end with the motivational minute for tonight. But we thank you, China. Listen, don't be a stranger. We love you. You drop nuggets and speak bars every time you come on.
Thank you. But I think today was bigger than me. I thought about I despite, like I told you this week, like the loss of life this week has had us in a chokehold, like a chokehold. And it's like, I got to go to work. That's okay. I'm going to sit here and cry at this desk.
Okay.
You going to ask me what's wrong? I'm going to tell you I got to go throughout my day. Not saying I don't love that person, no more or no less. But here's the thing. I got to keep going. Because if I keep sitting in that, what's that going to do for me? Am I going to die with you? Am I going to die with the situation? if I loved you and you love me, that's not what you want me to do.
Right.
You'll want me to keep going. You'll want me to keep reminding the world of who you were, who you are, what difference you made, how you was loved. So I thank you, ladies, for having me back. This grief topic is one I could talk about all day. Just have to grow through it,
Right.
go through it. It's a process. Like that slow cooker that we put that chili on in them crock pots. It tastes better when it's simmering versus us rushing it. It may burn. It's a process. Healing is a process.
Yes.
I'm putting that on in our group chat tonight. So I'm gonna put that in there to make sure tonight that everybody know that you gotta let it simmer in order for it to taste better. So
I'm telling you, I think you get a better understanding. You get a better understanding when you have time to sit and process stuff. You know what I'm saying? When things is rushed, you miss the experience. My significant other always tell me, stay in the moment. Because if you miss the moment, you miss the experience. I understand a lot more by staying in the moment.
okay, thank
That's
you.
good. And Sister China, I just pray your continued strength
Thank you.
and condolences again to you and your family.
To you and your family as well.
Thank you. And as always, we'll get through it.
Absolutely. It's
No
a
matter
struggle.
how hard.
It's a struggle, but just making the decision.
Yeah.
Just making the decision.
So we're gonna move on over to our spotlight. Lady China, hang out with us for a little bit longer.
Will do.
We want to, as always, celebrate our brother Tim Stevens. He had to push back his launch for his business. Did we have the date?
December 17th.
December 17th. So we're going to look out for Righteous Brothers. Check it out today at Righteous Brothers 216 on Instagram. And my hook. Look right, feel right, stay right. And I think he added something else to it.
So
But
you
just get right.
yes, get right.
Just get right.
Get right and come and look for the Righteous Brothers. He's got some really good stuff for sale and for people, for the brothers, but he's got a little bit of some for us ladies too. So it's gonna be accessory line. So if you need some cuffs for your suit or your dress shirt, ties, real nice accessories for the men and ladies to keep us looking good and being right. And for anyone else who has a business, to get your business on our spotlight section, please, by all means, email us at openletterstoasurvivor@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put spotlight. We welcome all businesses within our community. And we really, 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 really want to support one another. So please, if you know somebody who's got a business and really needs to pump it up, just send us an email and we'll definitely support you. And then also, we would be remiss if we didn't mention, let's go to therapy. We all need a little therapy, right? We need prayer. We need therapy. So in our therapy, we have, check out Belinda Williams with the Cleveland Health and Wellness Center specializing in trauma. And you can reach her at belinda@chawc.org. And as always, we have Dr. Shamara Hutchins with a flexible approach to therapy, serving our people and our trauma. She is the creator of the Melanated Minds Network, and look for Mindologists on all social media platforms. And as well, If you have any form of therapy and you would like to promote it through our show, just email us at openletterstoasurvivor@gmail.com and put in the subject line, let's go to therapy. And so now I'll turn it over to Sister Cassandra to talk about the money, honey.
All right, all right. Thank you. And so this is our sponsorship spotlight. We're asking that you please make an impact today. Sponsoring Open Letters to a Survivor means supporting our efforts to highlight mental health in communities for people of color and address the inequities and unavailable resources. Together, we can foster healing and resilience. Email us at openletterstoasurvivor@gmail.com and put sponsor in the subject line to sponsor our podcast. And now I'm going to swing it back over to Lady Poet.
So thank you. So we know that Tim actually works for our community. So he's actually out today. So I'll be doing a motivational minute. And so I hope I leave y'all with a little bit of nuggets today because this is something that I feel and I truly am just going to talk and hope that it helps somebody today. So for this motivational minute, we're going to talk about God and grief. And so let's not let our grief make us lose faith because sometimes in the grieving process, we can lose faith in that as well. So even recently, I said to God that in my grief, I'm tired, but I still trust you. And so that brings me to Psalms 34:18, where it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. And Psalms 119, verse 50, my comfort is in my suffering, and my is and your promises will preserve me. And then we're going to end with Ecclesiastics, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. And to everything, there's a season, a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up, which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. So I'm here today to say no matter the grief, if it's your time, it's your time. And like China said, it's time to sit in that grief in order to heal it. I, you, and we, in everything we face in our time, in our grieving season and our healing season, is coming. It's around the corner. Just remember that Psalms 30, verse 5 says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And as I minister to you, I minister that to myself as well. That we have to go through the necessary process of grief to get to the other side. We are here for you. We have resources. We love you. And we do want to end that by saying, have a great weekend, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we thank you for tuning in. Bye.